Welcome to What's Going On. Here we are once again. My name is Dolores Vidal and my co-host.
My name is Janette Cranshaw.
And we have the pleasure today of a guest in Anne Hartstein, who is the Secretary of the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs. Needless to say, we have a few questions for her that I think will be of interest to all of us. It is truly our pleasure to have you here today.
It's very nice to be here.
Thank you.
I love coming to Belmont.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you see as leading issues, that things you keep having to deal with or people ask about elder affairs?
The interesting thing about the Executive Office of Elder Affairs is that we not only deal with people who are older and frail, but also with all seniors.
Yes.
We also look at people across the lifespan. We know that what happens to people when they're younger affects what happens when they're older. So if we make sure that people have health insurance, for example, when they're younger, that they will be healthier as they age and when they get older. We know that for a fact. We also know that if people have better jobs when they're younger and can prepare for retirement, that their retirement is better. So when we look at age, we think about it as a continuum across the lifespan. And it's something that most people don't think about. They think, oh, what does old mean? Old means sick, frail, isolated, unhappy, okay, and poor. Okay? But if you ask people, what do they, and that's what people mean. We know that's not true at the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, and that's what we try and do. We try and make sure that people understand that being old is not a bad thing. There are things that happen to people as they grow older, but it's a life course situation. And we try to make sure that people understand that there's a difference between what people perceive and the myth of old age and what old age really is.
Mm-hmm. I understand that May is Older Americans Month.
It is indeed.
Is this correct? And in reading on your website, I was rather stunned to discover that in Massachusetts, 1/5 of the population is 60 years or older, and that by 2030, more than 25% of us will be seniors. And while nationally life expectancy is 78.2 years, Bay Staters have a life expectancy of 80.2 years, and that if you are alive at 65, then you're likely to live another 20 years.
Yes, indeed.
So we have quite a bit to look forward to, it seems to me.
Indeed, indeed. And the life expectancy keeps going up, and we're pleased about that. What you want is a quality of life that keeps going up, and that's the kind of thing that we try and make sure that people have access to, the information that can help them have a higher quality of life, that can keep them involved with their community, that can make sure they get where they need to be, when they need to be there, that they have the economic security that they need and require. And we need to make sure that we're providing all of those things for people in a way that makes people responsible for their own lives, but that they have the assistance they need if they need it. One of the things you mentioned is that if people live to 65, they tend to live 20 years longer. We also know that if you take everyone that's ever been born on the earth, so whenever you want to start that, okay, everyone who's ever reached the age of 65, 2/3 of us are alive today. So demographics don't lie. What's the term? Demographics is destiny. And it's true. We have an aging society. We have an aging world. 10,000 people a day in the United States are turning 65 right now because the baby boomers are turning 65. Now we've known this for 25 years. You know, people are born, they age, we know what the death rate is, we know what the birth rate is. So we know that there's a huge number of older people coming into our society now. And they're not all of a sudden appearing one day. They've been aging throughout their lives and now they're here. And it changes how all of our societal structures function. And what we're trying to do at Elder Affairs is to make sure that people understand that we make sure that we have the supports that people need, that we look at how the systems need to change in order to make our society what it needs to be for the population we have. It's not for old people, okay? It's that we now have an aging society and we need to make sure we do that. You know, baby boomers changed every institution, every societal institution they've ever gone through. You know, school, when people were young, is different. You know, they had to build a lot of schools to take care of the baby boomers. Now, you know, teenage years, everything was different for the baby boomers. So we really need to really think about what it means for older people, baby boomers, who are moving into the retirement age. And in fact, it doesn't mean being isolated and alone and poor in your own home. You know, there's lots of opportunities for people to stay involved. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you. Bless you.
It's going to come eventually. It's definitely.
There you go.
Yes.
Good.
But we really do have to look at how society sets itself up. Okay.
Well, you just hit all the topics that before we were on camera, I was in one way or another alluding to. Need for housing, need for care, the cost of all of these things. How do you guide people, or not on an individual basis, or subsets in different towns that can help them find a place to live, or find a medical situation that's plausible?
I'm so glad you asked that question. We have a whole network of organizations that work with us very closely. We have what are called Aging Services Access Points, known as ASAPs. There is one that serves Belmont, and there are 27 of them throughout the state. Those Aging Services Access Points have an information and resources office that can answer pretty much any question that anyone of any age has about aging. So if you're looking for housing, if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for assistance for a loved one, if you're a caregiver who's caring for someone and you need support around that, all those questions, or at least you can find out where you could go for help by calling the Aging Services Access Point.
Well, see, I never heard of that, and I wonder how do people know about it.
Right. The way you get there is by going through the 800 Age Info phone number that we have at Elder Affairs. It's 1-800-AGE-INFO on your phone, or Age Info, yep. And you can call there, and it will direct you to the local agency that has information about your area, and it's based on where you call from. So if you call from Belmont, the call will go into Elder Affairs, and then it will go to the information and resources for the ASAP, which is called Springwell.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay.
So you don't know the ASAP name, but you know Springwell.
Right. Right.
Okay? And Springwell has an information and resources available to everyone, and that's true throughout the state, that no matter where you call from, there's a place it goes. We also have, so we have the 800 Age Info. You know about the website. That is our 800 Age Info website, or is that the state website?
The state website.
Okay, we have a mass.gov ELD website, which you're looking at, but there's also an 800 Age Info website. And if you go there, that's where all the services are. And you can search, if you have a computer, you can search by topic area, you can search by geographic area, you can search by almost anything. And it does help people. There are people there who can then refer you to housing services. They can refer you to in-home services. Again, support for caregivers. We have a huge caregiver support program that's throughout the state, and it's all geographically assigned, so that Springwell, for example, has a caregiver support program that can help people find what they need. So we have that system. But we also have, as you know, the Councils on Aging. There are 349 Councils on Aging throughout the state, and we encourage anyone that has a question to go to the Senior Center or Council on Aging, if they're the same place, and to talk with the staff there, to talk with the people who know what's going on in the community. Oftentimes there's an outreach worker, and I believe you have an outreach worker in Belmont. They can help answer any questions.
That's why she's not here today. She's very busy.
Yes, yes, indeed.
I must say, I think the website is excellent. But one observation is that where it says see list of community councils on aging, and you click on it, there is no list.
We'll check on that.
Okay.
We have had some problems with the website. That may be just a glitch that we have in the system.
Okay, but it's a really wonderfully informative website.
But that 1-800-AGE-INFO, again, is a website and a phone number. and you can get there and get any information. If you can't remember the number, you can go to your Council on Aging and they can tell you what the number is, and they can help you go online if you have computers at Belmont.
Yes, we do.
Indeed, and someone to teach you how to use them.
Yes,
that's,
at the senior
that's
center.
the best part.
There's about 5 courses
I know,
at once.
and it's great because people really have a chance to.
I mean, I haven't
find out
even
more
mastered the
information.
cell phone. I mean,
one technique at a time, one technical activity at a time.
Well, you obviously had some insight years ago, before any of this applied to you, and have chosen this profession. I think that the more usual experience is for us to get older, and as you say, even though it's inevitable and it's happening to all of us, there's something in our culture or in our beings that seems to reject that fact. And so we get to this stage of life, and lo and behold, we don't know what the resources are and where they are.
Yeah.
And this turns out to be so enlightening, and it's rather exciting because I think it opens up possibilities for people that they may not even know exist.
exactly.
A lot of the work that we are doing, remember I said we have a lifespan approach, and what we're saying is we need to educate younger people about the fact that hopefully they will grow older, and hopefully it will be a part of their life that they enjoy. And it's not negative, it's not something to not look forward to, but you do need to prepare for it. So we're talking to people about preparing for retirement. And I think the downturn in the economy that occurred has made people more aware that over your lifetime, there's choices that you make and decisions you have to think about. And I think that as negative as that event was in most of our lives, it's also created an opportunity for us to talk to people about what it means to grow older, what it means to have things change that you don't expect, to have unexpected events happen in your life, and to really look at how that affects each and every one of us, and to start thinking about that at a younger age.
Very good point.
We don't just turn 65 and become old.
Right.
Okay, we have aged, and you have lots of opportunity in that time. And it's, encouraging people to think about going back to school. Oftentimes people in the middle age say, well, I can't change professions. And maybe we should say, well, if you have another 40 years to work, why not? Why not do it now? You've only been working for 20 years and you have another 20 or 30 years to work. You could change professions. So it's about giving
work
people.
In my 30s, my daughter started her grad work in her, at almost 50, and it has become quite available now.
It has,
often weekends and nights, and get your masters and things like that.
But most people still don't think about it for themselves. There are people who do it, but they don't think of themselves as starting a new trend or doing anything different. But if we start talking about that at 20, that the job that you do or the profession that you choose may not be the one that you spend your whole life doing. And just that one comment at that point gives people a chance at any point in their career to say, maybe I want to do something different, and not wait until retirement to do the thing that has meaning for you.
Right.
It may be that people do that anyway, but if they know they have a choice, and it's just a mindset. It's a mindset about what it means. And old doesn't mean anything anymore. Yes, there's an age at which you receive Social Security or can receive Social Security, and there's an age at which oftentimes people think about retiring, but it's not set in stone anymore. It's not set by law that people have to retire at a set age.
Do you think there's a big bias out there against hiring people who only want to work part-time, or who, like the world at large, might think that older people are very set in their ways, that they're extremely stubborn, that they're not trainable, flexible, this or that or the other? Is that real? And I don't expect your agency to be able to cure that disease, but how does one override that, or is it realistic to think that one can override that?
There are a lot of myths of aging, and one of them is that older workers are not productive. That's not true. Okay? As a matter of fact, older workers are the ones with the history, the knowledge, and the knowledge base to actually learn new things. It may take older workers a little bit longer to learn a particular thing, but once they learn it, they know it. Whereas younger people can learn it quicker, but they don't retain it as long. There's studies that demonstrate that. So older workers are not necessarily bad workers. In fact, they are good workers. And again, if you look at the demographics and you say, we have a workforce, and they're going to need there's going to be so many jobs for that workforce, then we need people to fill those jobs. If we don't have older workers in the workforce, we will have jobs that will be unfilled.
Yes, I was listening to you before about by 2008, many jobs will be understaffed due to lower birth rate patterns.
That's right. There won't be people with the skills to do the jobs that need to be done.
Yeah, and so that should be opportunities for allowing those who do have the skills but are over 50 or over 60 but are still corpus mentis to have an opportunity to go into that field or whatever.
We do have a report that we're putting the finishing touches on now that talks about employment for older workers, and it really does demonstrate that the growth in the labor market, the number of people who will be available to work in the labor market, the only area of growth that will be in the next 20 years is in the people 50 plus.
Interesting.
So there will be a need for people to utilize older workers, and in fact it will be to their benefit to utilize older workers.
That's interesting. Very useful information out there, folks. I mean,
And
keep that in mind.
It also indicates why people should think about additional training in their middle and later years, because there will be jobs for people who have additional training. When I was a Council on Aging director, which I was for 11 years, we had a number of people, and I would say, well, what did you retire from? And they would say, I retired from being a pharmacist. I say, oh, that's great. When did you start pharmacy? Oh, I was a salesman for 40 years before I became a pharmacist, or vice versa. I was, a pharmacist, and then I decided I didn't want to do that, and I became a salesman. And they talk about only their last career, not the 3 or 4 they had throughout their lives. And I thought, people identify really interestingly with their career at the time they retire, but many people have done many different things in their lives, and we need to let people know that they can do many different things in their lives.
I think the thing that I also find very valuable for seniors, and perhaps because I had reason to be doing it before, and that is volunteering. I can remember at the time of the women's lib movement and all of this, oh, I'm not just going to help out at the town library. I'm not going to have the brownie troop, and I'm not going to bake brownies. I mean, put down if you weren't working in real estate or something, I don't know. And I know at that time of the juncture, I was a director of religious education in a parish, and suddenly the mothers were all gone. Nobody to help with that, and I know brownie troops and everything else ran into similar problems. Wherever you need and had realized you had really been depending on a lot of volunteers. And I always found volunteer work almost more intriguing because I was moving around with an Army family and you couldn't start, but there were always volunteer things to do,
Yeah. And again, as a society, there are many things that would not happen in our society if we don't have volunteers. And we actually need to protect our volunteer pool. We need to make sure that we're making volunteer opportunities attractive to people, that we allow people to know what those volunteers' opportunities are, and to make sure we support them in those volunteer opportunities so that you have good supervisors that can oversee volunteer programs, that you have someone who's organized enough so people know when to show up, where, and when they do, they have a viable job to do. And to say, volunteers just stuff envelopes or, that's not true. Volunteers can do almost anything if you have the right supports for them. And we work, Councils on Aging are a great example. They have thousands and thousands of volunteers that provide
we just provided
many millions of dollars of service every year.
Right. This is the list of the volunteers just for this past year. Look at that.
In Belmont, you mean?
Yep, and in Belmont, and we probably have a dollar amount equated to the service that they provide.
I've never seen that actually, but that's an interesting...
You do have one because we require that you give it to us at Elder Affairs, so I know that you have one. And it's astounding when you look at how much volunteers actually do. We also know that volunteering helps the volunteer as much as it helps
Oh,
those for whom you volunteer.
No question
No
about
question.
And we actually have medical proof of it now. There was a group of women who were prone to dementia, and they were tested with an MRI, a brain scan, before they started volunteering. They were trained and then proceeded to teach kids with reading problems how to read. At the end of their 8-week session with the kids, they were retested, and their brain function was better.
Already?
So not only did it improve the brain function of the volunteers, it improved the reading capability of the kids. Talk about a win-win situation.
Yeah, I think we're social animals. There's no getting away from it, and to keep people stimulated regardless of their age is essential. So volunteering is certainly a way to do that.
There's no question. And again, whether you're volunteering or you're working, you're stimulating your brain. The other thing we talk about is people should do something new every day. Because what stimulates your brain is not doing the same old thing. If you've been doing crossword puzzles all of your life, to do another crossword puzzle does not stimulate new parts of your brain. If you go bowling, okay, and you don't bowl very much, that stimulates another part of your brain. If you've never played an instrument before and you decide to start playing one, that stimulates a new part of your brain. Once you learn how to play it, you got to find something else new to do. But the idea is to meet new people, interact with people, and try something new every day, or once a week, or even once a month is fine. But don't continue to do the same things. The way your brain functions, it's a much better stimulation if you're trying something new. And if you find out you don't like it, you don't have to do it anymore.
Right.
You can choose something else. But you spread your horizons, and I think that's something we should make sure we all do every day. And for younger people, it's a little easier, but for those of us who are older and have a set routine that we follow every day, we need to mix it up a little bit.
And I was thinking, it just struck me that that's where our senior center is such a help. Remember I said all of these would be computer classes. Over here, swimming returns in June on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 11 for seniors at the high school. Get involved in swimming. There's going to be a ping pong tournament. New cycles of popular exercise classes, line dancing, Tai Chi, aerobics, strength and flexibility, yoga.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because councils on aging and senior centers have a tremendous amount of opportunity for people to do exercise. And we know that if exercise was a pill and everyone took it, we'd be a much healthier society. So this is the exercise pill. Go to your senior center, go to your council on aging, and participate in a class. And have it be something you haven't done before. So if you've done tap dancing all your life, swim. If you've swum all your life, do a little tap dance.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. We've enjoyed having you. And Ann Hartstein is with us today, and I hope you will return in the future when we have updates for each other.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Has time gone
Thank
by
you.
already? Oh my goodness.
That's how it happens.
That's how it happens.
See you.